Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you, just for purposes of the record, give us your full name?
My name is Mary S. Gordon.
Right. And Mary, were you born here?
Yes, I was. I was born in Lafayette County.
Okay. Who are your folks? Who are your parents?
My parents was Mary and Fulton Hilliard.
Okay. And have you lived here all your life?
All my life, I'm a native.
Yeah. And what was your date of birth?
6/13/42.
We are interested in the work of North Mississippi Rural Legal Services, and you spent a great deal of your life working here. Could you tell us just kind of the influences on your life that led you to work here?
Okay. Well, when I got out of high school, I was just kind of, I worked in the jewelry shop and a lot of little places like that. But one day, it was a lady stayed 3 houses from me, and she had come to my mom's house. I didn't know anything about anything, and she said it was a lady by the name of Rose Reynolds come and said that it was a legal services or something trying to set up here, and they wanted people that knew the community well. And my mom told her that I did. So Rose Reynolds, which was the first secretary that we had in Lafayette County, she got my number. She called me, and she wanted me to come. I think it was the old Douglas building. It was down down the street, right where the old cleaner used to be. You probably don't know anything about it, but anyway, I went up there and I met with Michael Twister. Who else was it? Lucy McDougal, everyone kind of. It was 3 or 4 of them, and they told me they got information from me. Asked me would I want to work in the community? Did I have a car? And I told them yes. And they asked me did I know the community well, and I told them I did. So I filled out an application. They told me, I think that next Wednesday, to meet with them at the Wesley Foundation. And that's a church here on Ole Miss, like you're going to out west. So I did, and I think the next day Miss Burt came too. We were only 2 there at the time. Then we filled out papers. They told us what we had to do and what was, required. Well, that was written down my alley. I like people. I'm a people person. So we had a little training. They went over the things that, we needed to do and all. So we got I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks later, we all got our cars, and we had to make sure we had insurance and everything. So we all went in the community, and it was just lovely to me. People was very, very poor, and we went in the community knocking on doors. I mean, people, it was just a shame, the condition that the community was in. No inside bathrooms, outside bathrooms. It was just a bad condition. Some children didn't have shoes on their feet. Some people didn't even have food.
Was that here in Lafayette?
That's in Lafayette County.
About what year do you think that might have been?
I believe that must have been in the 60s, first 70s, somewhere along, in the 60s, because that's when I started. They didn't have food stamps at that time. They had commodities. And they had some cheese and something. I don't know. I heard a lot of people talking about the cheese and some kind of meat. And that's what those people were eating. That's what the little children would eat. And a lot of time the kids wouldn't go to school because they didn't have sufficient shoes and clothes.
So what schools did they go to?
Most of them went to Lafayette. Very few of them went to Oxford because you have to be in a separate school district in order to go to Oxford. But in the county, you go to Lafayette. We knocked on the doors, and the parents would come to the door, and we explained to them what we were doing, and the things that they were eligible for. Legal services was here to help them. And, we had lawyers and everything, and they were so glad. They said they've been waiting on this. One lady said, thank God, legal services is here. And They, we got all the information from them. A lot of them was disabled, sick in the bed, but they wasn't getting disability. So we got information from them and brought it back to the office. And then the Michael and them went over, the stuff. Michael Trister. They went over the reports, what we brought back. And we made cases out of them. Well, we didn't start going to hearings or nothing right then because we was classified as community workers. But we kept going door to door telling people about, the works that legal services was doing in the community. And everybody was just happy, all except the people the welfare and local people.
Could you, just 1 second, could you tell me about the relationship between the people in, say, the country store, if they live way out? You have a story about that?
Yes, I do. Well, it was very few little country stores, and the people that live way out, they had credit. They had little charge accounts there. Well, when we started going out in the community, there was a guy kind of rich named Royal Brothers. He had a farm, and everybody that worked on his farm, they had credit, but they had to do what he say. So, when we sit down and start talking and telling these people that, that they can maybe find some jobs or something else, because they were farming. And one man told him, said, if you come back up here, you have to go down the road, because Mr. Royal don't want nobody coming up on his land. Because, see, they was plowing and stuff. Said that you have to talk to us down the road. You just let us know when you coming. Then the store man, I'm not calling no name, they went back to the store to get grocery, and he told them, well, if you all be going and following these people at legal services, because they not here just to stir up some stuff, they didn't want, us to help them. That's what it was. They wanted them to depend upon, what they would do. And it was a shame because them people were adding taxes twice on people's grocery bill. It was just a shame. They would have taxes when they go get the grocery, and when they go pay it, they didn't make very much money. When they go pay it, they add taxes again. Yep, there's a lot of those little stores in the community like that. And that's what they did. They had credit, and that's the only way those people could get food.
Had trouble getting to town to go to other stores.
A lot of them didn't have transportation, and they was glad when we come in the community because we provided transportation for them, to come to the doctors, to go to the welfare department. The welfare department just didn't like it because we brought those people in. One social worker said, here they come with all these people. I just think they got a truckload of them. They didn't want to fool with people, to do intake and interview them. And yes, I was into it with a lot of them at the welfare because one lady came in and say, what you bring this man up here for? And who is this doctor? So I told her, well, I wouldn't let him doctor on a horse of mine. I said, well, ma'am, he's not going to doctor on his man's horse. He's going to doctor on his body. Oh, and she was just upset at me. Man, she got real upset. The director, me and him kind of fell out at the first place, but he see that I wasn't going to back off of him. So he started talking pretty good. But at first, he was all into people's personal life, their sex life and everything. Then he told one woman, said, you just had a baby 9 months ago. How did you get pregnant? All kind of stuff. And I told him, I said, that's really not your business. I said, that's very personal, and you shouldn't be asking her that, And he always, well, you think you know something because you're working with legal services, a lot of stuff like that. Well, eventually he come around. He recommended me to be on the foster care review board. They didn't keep me there long either. I stayed about a year or two because it was just so wrong the way they was doing it. We had a meeting in Pontotoc, and it was a guy that they had taken the children. The wife wasn't in the home. They only had 2 bedrooms, and him and 4 children. And somebody said the kids, some of them were staying, girls were sleeping with him. He was an alcoholic. When he come in there and they told his story, I couldn't do that. I smelled alcohol on him when he was talking because everybody had a chance to talk to him. And I voted for him not to get those kids. Let him clean himself up. Let him get a better place, you know. They should have done that in the first place anyway. So they knew.
Go ahead.
They knew it was me. Everybody did, because one of the ladies smiled and come back and she said, "What objection did you have?" I said, the objection that I had was 4 girls, 2-room house, and an alcoholic daddy.
Right. So were you at that point a paralegal with the program?
I became a paralegal after we started representing clients. Right after the community workers, a few of us came in to be social workers. Then after we got cases to go to Social Security and welfare and places, then we become a paralegal. We had to start training. I was working with the attorneys, and they was, working with me, telling me stuff. We went to Miami, Florida for fast training also, paralegal work. I like it. I like people, so I didn't have no problem with it. Yes, I got into it with some of Social Security workers too. Some of them was really nice. Some of the judges was really nice. Some of them were not nice. One incident we had is in Columbus, because I used to go everywhere. Columbus for a hearing, and the judge know my client was mental. But when we got there, we went to the Y in Columbus. That's all women got. He said, this girl is going to sit right here and listen to the lady testify. I said, have you asked my client? No, I thought it would just be all right. I said, no, sir, you need to talk to my client. I said, I don't think it's going to be all right. I said, she already nervous. He went and asked my client, and my client said, no, I don't want nobody in here hearing my story. He got up, opened the door, set that girl a chair right there in the door, and told her to sit there and listen. Well, I didn't say nothing because I had something up my sleeve for him anyway. So we had the vocational expert there, and we sit there, and I went on and asked all of my questions. He didn't swear the vocational in or nothing. He did not ask the vocational nothing. He didn't ask my client nothing. And we come on home. I know he was angry. We come on home, and about a week later, he sent a bunch of interrogatories for me to, answer, and I would not answer. I thought better than that. I did. I wrote the judge up. I wrote him up because the chief judge and I were pretty good friends. So I wrote him up. I told the chief judge exactly how he acted. And then he started calling me on the phone, the judge did, and I wouldn't answer. One day, I did go over there to have a hearing in Tupelo, and he knew I was out there, so he came to the door and asked me to come back. He wanted to talk with me. And he asked me if I got that complaint out of his file. He said, you were right. The lady was disabled. I'm going to give her money. She got a favorable decision. I just want you to take that out of my file. He said, because we love people. I'm a Catholic, and we love black and white people. I just let him talk. And when he got through, and he said, I got cancer. And then he just talked and talked. But he said, I told him I can't do anything until I see the favorable decision in writing. So he gave it to us in writing.
So when you, in the early years with legal services, are there any personalities of people you worked with that kind of stood out, that more outstanding than others in your memory?
Personalities like?
People you worked with. Was there anybody who was kind of an influence on you?
Well, I was so eager in those days, and I was eager to learn. So if somebody put something out there, I was ready to get it,
Who did you work with mostly in the early years?
Kelly. It was a guy named Kelly, and another named John, and Tim. It was 3 guys. They kind of worked with me, just like if we got a problem in the community and we couldn't handle it. Like it was a guy that we did a divorce for here at Legal Services, and he didn't want the lady to have her clothes. So I got ready to take her to get her. Well, she's in my family. I got ready to take her to get her clothes, and Tim and Kelly and them said, "No, we're gonna ride with you." So when we got out there, the man came to the door with a gun, and well, I ain't gonna tell all the other, but anyway, we just got out. Miss Brick went with us, and we just kind of stood around the car, and Tim them went to the door and asked him if she could come and get her clothes, and he came to the door. Y'all can't come in. Nobody can come in. She can come in, but y'all can't. So she come in and started sending her clothes out in the yard, and we took them and and put them in the car. And he followed me around for a while. I had to talk to the sheriff about him. He was telling people what he was going to do to me. And I told the sheriff, I said, don't let me do it to him first. And I did. Mr. Easton knew me. He was really nice. He followed us one time out in the country, way out in the country, him and some other big old man. And he didn't know that my husband and another guy was in the car. And he didn't know who it was because I had a little old car. And when he got there, he was going to run up. And when he ran up, my husband just threw the door and just knocked him down. But anyway, he didn't bother us anymore, I think the sheriff talked to him.
Yeah. Did that kind of thing come up often? Did you ever feel kind of in danger with your work?
I kind of felt leery when I was by myself with somebody. No, a lot of times Miss Quarles would go with me.
Who is Miss Quarles?
Mildred Quarles was one of our advisory board members and board members, and she was very active in the community. We had a lot of people that were very active in the community. In those days, we had Miss Maylou Ivy, Miss Essie Lee Archie, we had Leland Davison. It was, a very smart people that really was really active in the community. Wayne Johnson. It was a guy named Robert. I don't know his last name, but he was very active. We had the preschool. We had a little store. And, everything was real nice. Even they had a credit union, but it didn't last long. Yeah. And I think legal services kind of was helping everybody to know that they could do more than what they were doing. It's still a big help, and at that time, it was a great help. I remember in Abbeville, I went to a lady's house. She was real old. She was sick in the bed. The house was cold. It was winter time. And I don't know how to make a wood fire. But I went in the house because I was going in there for her to sign papers. And I made her a fire. And I bought food for her, just something to make sandwiches and stuff. I mean, they was very appreciative. And most people now all around know me because I tried to help anywhere I could. I had a special case out of Calhoun City. I don't know, this lady come to me and I almost cried. She brought her husband and he was just, I don't know what you call it, catatonic. He wasn't talking, he couldn't do anything. He didn't even know when his bowels moved. But he was, had applied for Social Security through the Starksville office, and they was going to deny her if she couldn't take him to the doctor. Well, her car couldn't, it didn't have tires, adequate tires, or nothing on it, because she said she had 2 flats trying to get to legal services. Well, I told her I would try to help her the best I could. I called Starksville. The first person that I got on the phone was very smart, and I asked to speak to, the supervisor or somebody. But I got a good person the next time, and I explained to the person what was happening. And he said, well, if you can write that up and send it to me. And I said, I'll make sure that the man get to the doctor, So we did. We really did. But let me tell you a little bit about them. Her children wasn't going to school because they didn't have shoes and clothes. They had a little hut way out in the woods, and they wouldn't tell nobody. She cried when she told me. They didn't have running water. They didn't have no bathrooms. They was really, really, really pitiful. I mean, I almost cried. And she said, we don't have anything. And she said, and she just got up and hugged me. She said, I am so glad God sent you.
Were there other legal organizations during that time that were helping people, or any lawyers? Or
Well, if it was helping people, not too many of those are out in the rural because those people really, when I was telling them out, we had lawyers and, people that could help, they didn't even know about it. And then, a lot of those people were real old and they didn't know about it. And then, too, that the lawyers charged a lot of money, something that they didn't have,
Right.
and legal services was free.
And back during that time, were there any advocates or people who helped people get disability or help them get any benefits that they were entitled to?
Not to my knowledge. Yeah, not to my knowledge. And we would carry people to the doctor. We would carry people to the Social Security office and wherever they had to go because they didn't have transportation.
Right.
And, we would help them in any way we could. One incident, I don't know whether you said anything about it, but it was unemployment. We did that too. We had unemployment here in Grenada. That's where we had most of them. And I was working with one of our local attorneys here. And Miss Burke and she went with me to the hearing. And the hearing referee, he called the employer up and say, they here for this hearing. We could hear him. And say, you got time to come over here? But if you don't, I make it continuous. We don't know what the man say, but he come in there. He don't have time to come. I'm asking for a continuous. I'm going to continue to another time. Well, he did that twice. And it was kind of getting out of my skin at that time. So we had the next case review. I told the attorney, and he said he was going with us.
Attorney with legal services.
Attorney with legal services. He did go with us, and he knew it was wrong. And the guy was gonna pull something on him too, cause he didn't even want me to ask the employer nothing. Don't question him. He would do the questioning, So when the attorney got there, the attorney was getting angry as he's there. He's trying to pull that on the attorney. The attorney went off. He went off on him. He told him, said, no, you can't do this. And everybody in the front office came in the back office was looking, And they wrote us up, and we wrote them back up. And but the woman got her unemployment. I did take her down there, and, we got a better referee.
Right.
And she did get unemployment.
So the referee was the judge, right?
Yeah, that's the referee is a judge. That's what they call the little judge for unemployment referees. Yeah.
Right. So this was when you were a paralegal, right?
Yes, a paralegal.
Yeah. Well, that's during that time, and even now, administrative cases were handled by paralegals.
Paralegals, yes. Mm-hmm.
And do you still do that kind of work?
Yes, I do. I was here 43 years. My husband became disabled, and I retired to be with him. And so after he passed, I just put up my own little business. So I have my own paralegal business. But I still, anything legal services need me to do, I do refer cases here because I don't have anything but administrative cases,
Do you remember the dates that you worked with legal services? More or less when you started?
It was in the 60s. It was either, I want to say 66, end of 66 or 67. I think it was 67, I believe. Yeah.
So was it already called North Mississippi Rural Legal Services?
Now, I think they called it legal aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't at the law school. It was out in the community.
Yeah, it was right uptown. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The first director I think you mentioned was Michael Trister, the first one you remember, or do you remember another one during that time?
No, I think, well, they all that working together, but I think Michael Twister, Diane Zimmerall, she wasn't no director, but she was a social worker. But I'm trying to find, I know Luther McDougall, I believe he was a director.
At one point.
Yeah, I think at one point he was a director.
Yeah. And are there other directors that kind of come to mind that you worked under that were important to your
Yes, Wilhelm Joseph. Leonard was the director at one time. Leonard McClellan.
Yeah.
Alvin Chambers was the director for a while. I was here, I guess, through all of the directors.
Did you work with Alvin and Chambers and Leonard McClellan on their cases?
I worked with Leonard, not too much with Alvin. I would, you know, serve subpoenas or something for him, but most of the time I worked with Leonard. I learned a lot under Leonard.
Could that be a challenging thing to do, serve subpoenas?
Yes, it can, because I did serve one in Calhoun County. And when I got on there, because I'm afraid of dogs, and when I got there, it was a great big old man sitting on the porch, and he had a big old dog, and his gun was laying down beside of him. And so he said, "What you want?" And I explained to him what I had. I had the little, in my hand, and I drove up beside his, his porch. It was a driveway. And he said, "Get out and put it right there." And I said, "Well, your dog bite." "Sit down, boy. He ain't gonna bite, And I said, "I'm afraid of dogs." When I opened the car door, the dog got up, and he told the dog to sit down. I just eased it there on the end of the porch. And I don't know. They say he was very mean, so I didn't push it.
Yeah. Okay. So, could you tell us? I don't know if anything stands out in your mind. Some of the most important things you think you worked on at Legal Services.
Oh Lord, there's a lot of stuff I worked on Legal Services. I tried to do some of everything. I wanted to learn some of everything, at Legal Services. I wanted to learn some of the stuff that the attorneys did. And, when they would allow me, I would work with them and try to ask questions and stuff. I would just always been a person eager to learn. I still like people. I like working with Social Security now. I don't do food stamps and welfare anymore. I just stick with Social Security. I like that. I got a fairly good record with them and the judges. I can tell some of the people here, let me just run this by you. They had places like Cream Cup. They had colored window and white window.
Back in the 60s?
Back in the 60s. And if you went to the white window, they would just stand there and look at you. They would not wait on you. But if you go around to the black window, they would wait on you. They had a place like that in Abbeville. It was a cafe, little cafe. And you would go to the window, or the other people, the white people could go inside and sit down. We went to the window. We could go inside and order, but we couldn't sit down and eat. One time, Lou was here then.
Who's Lou?
Lou Myers. He was a director at one time, and then he was an attorney. He was just a senior attorney at that time. We all went up there. We knew that they weren't going to let us eat, but we all went to Abbeville, and we ordered. We went inside, and we ordered. And we bought a lot of hamburgers and stuff. We didn't pay for them. We told them we wanted to sit down and eat. And they said, "No, you can't sit down." And we had a lot of questions from why and all that kind of stuff. And they said no. So we said, "Well, we can't sit down and eat, then we don't want them." So we just left them there in the sack and walked out. It was a doctor's office. It was the same way. You could go to the doctor's office. They had a colored waiting room and a white waiting room.
And that right here in Lafayette?
Right here in Lafayette County. The hospitals, when Medicaid came in, the hospital, they had all white in one room and then all black in another room. But one time, I don't know who tipped them off, but some people who worked there was telling me that the same day that Medicaid come, I knew they was coming. The same day Medicaid come, they was switching them up, putting white in the room with the blacks. Right.
When
they come to investigate,
right,
because they had a lot of complaints.
right. Okay. So, what do you think the most positive ways that legal services influence or affected the area here would be?
Oh God.
Some from your work and that of the others you mentioned.
Legal services has been God sent for the whole community. I mean, it has helped people out of situation that other than that, they wouldn't have never gotten out of situation. I mean, I know divorces, bankruptcies. People were losing their homes for an instant. I think I've done an intake on a person that was losing her home. She had 5 acres of land, and she borrowed $500 from one of the local uh, finance companies. And it was Christmas. I never will forget that. The lady came to legal services crying. They asked me to do the intake. And she had put up 5 acres of land for $500. And they was getting ready to foreclose. And legal services had to come in there. She wouldn't have had no place to stay. They helped a lot of people. They really did. A lot of people had domestic violence. They got them out of, that, divorces and stuff. That helped a whole lot. Helped them get houses. A lot of people didn't have sufficient houses. They had raining in their houses and buckets and stuff. Legal services have really, really been outstanding and really been good to the whole community and the surrounding areas, because we covered a lot of counties.
What counties did you work in?
I worked, a little bit of all of them, but I worked in Lafayette, Calhoun. At one time I did Union County, but later on I didn't. Yellowbusher, your Vardaman is in Lafayette. Sometime I would go to Basement, but usually Clarksdale do that. But, if they needed me in Clarksdale or wherever, I would go.
Did you ever go out to Marshall County?
Not to work, because they had, unless like they needed me to help work on something. Other than that, because they had their own staff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They, during the early years, do you remember before the desegregation case in Oxford? Do you remember all of that?
Yes, I do. I was sitting in the courtroom. I remember it was in Miss Quarles' name, Quarles versus the Board of Education. I believe that's right. We had it in Greenville. The hearing was in Greenville. And we all went. I guess you know Connie Constance Slaughter. She was an attorney here. We all went in the car together. And we had John Britton, very smart, excellent attorney. He represented, the school in Miss Quarles. But they didn't have a match. They had a local attorney, but he's deceased now. But they had a local attorney, and Connie and I, we almost got put out of the courtroom because John Britton just walked all over him with the law. He didn't even have to look at the law book. He had his little hand behind him. When this other guy was looking all in the, law book trying to look up different cases, John had them memorized. He was smart. Lou Mize was smart. Leonard McClellan was smart. We had some smart people. Legal services had smart lawyers. Excellent.
Right. Are there any other areas that you feel like the legal services, any other areas of litigation you thought were very important?
Well, I hate to brag, but I think just about everything that, in those days, legal services went after, they won just about. They made a big dent in it. Even to Alvin Chandler's. If it wasn't for Alvin, they wouldn't have a swimming pool that black and white can go to here in Oxford. Because I was in the courtroom with him, and he had threatened to take the federal money, and I don't know what he did, but whatever he did, but black and white can swim in the same pool.
So you worked as a paralegal on all of these types of cases?
Yeah, I sit in with the attorneys. Some of the judges, Judge Faris, he told me any time that I was in his courtroom and any of the lawyers come that, he said, come on up and sit at the table. He was really nice.
Yeah. I remember that the sheriff and judges and other people would send folks to legal services and tell them to see Miss Gordon.
Yes, in Judge Lamb, you remember Judge Lamb?
Yes,
Judge Lamb was excellent about that. Oh, okay, let me tell you about this one. You may have some knowledge of this one. Ralph, I'm sorry, he was a guy, and he was kind of mental, but his people were rich. His father, I don't know, I think he had been on police force or something. His mother had money and all, but he and his dad didn't get along. So I don't know how I come in contact with him, but they sent him to me. I did an intake on him, and somehow or another, he didn't trust nobody but me. Well, he wanted me to get his disability. His dad was afraid of him, and his dad called me and was whispering on the phone, said, "Don't let him know I'm talking to you, because he'll jump on me." I didn't. So the next day, Judge Lamb called me and said, "Anything that you need for Ralph, so you let me know. Do you need me to write up something and take it to the hearing?" And I told him yes, he did. Dr. E.C. Stones called me. I had people call me just like that. All, like the judges, the doctors, some of their local attorneys, people that knew his father and mother, they was calling me, and they was writing stuff. I think when we had the hearing, his dad had to be locked in a room because he didn't want his dad in the hearing with him. He didn't want his dad to be there. And it was raining that day. We went in, and I had already talked to the judge and told him how the man was. The man had his own book and everything. He got in there, he started asking the judge questions. And he asked the judge, "Now, what is your name? And what are you going to do?" I told the judge already before he come, So I had another legal services lawyer with me. But, she was really nice too. We did, ask questions. I had already sent in information on him. They knew how he was. But we did win the hearing. And on our way out, it was raining real hard. He stood and waited on me and walked me to the car. And somebody else asked him, say, "You want a ride?" He said, "No, I don't want your ride. I'm going to catch the bus and go home." But that's what he'd do, and he would come to see me every day. Somehow or another, they put him in a group home or something, and he used to send me Christmas cards every Christmas. And his dad would always call me and ask me had I heard from him.
Yeah.
But we were friends, but he wouldn't talk to nobody else.
So that's quite a progression from your early years when the officials at the welfare department and the administrative law judges tried to keep you from asking questions or your
Yes.
clients from coming
And I had a lot.
the judges and everybody sending you clients.
Yeah, the judges, they do refer me clients now, the ones that I know. Tupelo Social Security people still refer me clients. If there's somebody there that they think needs, information like medical records, they will tell them about me. Yes, it's really nice. We had one judge there. He was extra nice. If a lot of people would come, I got 3 or 4 clients one day just going to represent one, and he just told me, he said, "Would you take these, please?" He said, "I know you can handle it, But I do like doing that, and like I said, I like people. It don't matter who you are, I like you.
I think from what I recall, you're very successful at it as well.
So far, I keep my fingers crossed. I started something, I started doing something kind of like a little brief summary, and some of the paralegals called me and said, "You shouldn't have started that," because now the judges is requiring that. But I was doing it before they started requiring it. And one of the chief judges told one of the paralegals, say, "She's racking it up," because what I did a summary of the whole case, of all the medical records, and then I applied the law to it.
I know it's kind of speculative, but what do you think would have happened in this area if there had not been legal services?
I have no idea. Well, it would be kind of like the guy that I had that was living on the farm all his life, and he thought he had Social Security. And when we applied, he didn't have no quarters. And that meant, because the man that he worked for did not take out Social Security. Now, they used to make those people pay in. Because I've had a lot of cases that I'd go to Social Security and say, "These people been working all their lives, and that's all they know, And not farm work, whatever they want them to do. But they just didn't take out Social Security. And if they did, they didn't pay it in under their name. And that man just stood up and cried. If legal services hadn't have been here, I don't know what would have happened, you know. I really don't. People probably wouldn't have benefits. They still some of them try to give you the okie doke, but it's been a blessing for our counties and the state of Mississippi.
So, what do you think the impact of working at North Mississippi Rural Legal Services had on your life?
Like,
I don't know. What's the importance of the work, I guess, to your life?
Oh, I don't know, Jen. I like helping people for one thing, and that's what legal services is all about, helping people. And they've done a real good job, and they still doing a real good job, And I've known Mr. Coles a long time. I think before he even become director, I think he might have been in law school. I'm not sure, but I think so. But and they all about helping people. Yeah. We've had some good workers. I'm pretty sure they have good workers now, but we have had some very good workers, and we have had some good community support.
Is there anything else any other things that you'd like to share about your experiences in legal services that I might not have mentioned or brought up?
Did I tell you about the one that the unemployment hearing that I had in was it Water Valley? Water Valley was one of those counties that they was very funny. I had a client to come up, and she was trying to get her unemployment. No, it wasn't unemployment. It was food stamps. That's what it was, food stamps. And I went out there and looked at the file. They didn't have the file together. Matter of fact, I don't think they knew how to put the file together. But anyway, we set a hearing. I knew the referee from Jackson because I've had him before. They said that the reason they denied the lady because a man was staying in the household. They had that rule back then. Well, nobody stay in the household, They said they went in there and saw a man's coat hanging in her closet.
So who is they?
That's what the welfare department was telling, food stamp office.
In the lady's house.
In the house. They went in the lady's house because the landlord let them in the lady's house. And the landlord was telling them that some man was staying there. So we had the landlord to come to the hearing when we asked for a hearing. And boy, I went out through the community, and I had about 10 or 12 witnesses. We had so many witnesses, they had to go out of the room and bring chairs in. And when we started the hearing, the referee looked at me and winked his eye. He said, "Go get him." But they couldn't prove it. But just because somebody's coat is hanging in your closet, that doesn't mean he lives there. And so we won it, but they had their investigator, and he come up with a bunch of stuff, but it just didn't hold water.
Wow. Any other things that you think maybe people who weren't around at that time wouldn't realize about the impact of legal services on the community through your work, or anything else you saw?
It was so much I saw. I saw so much, I tell you. It was just a lot of discrimination. If you would go into a restaurant, if you go in there, just like you and I would go in there, they would want you to go to one table and me to go to the other one. And we used to just act up. Coleman Barbecue was right up on the corner where this Gooseberry's Barber Shop is. Diane Zimmeroff and I would go there and eat every day, sit at the same table. So they got tired of seeing us, I guess, and they just carried us to the same table. They would do little stuff like that, Yeah, and they treated people so bad, especially the black people. And the poor white got the same treatment that the blacks did.
Can we take a minute break? A lot of people, myself included, don't really know a whole lot about the community worker part of legal services work that you did. Could you just describe that again for us, and also some of the ways that you went out into the community and the purpose of that?
The purpose of it was to find, we knew there was a lot of people that needed assistance, to find those people and to help them. We almost went door to door because we knew a lot of those people, at least I did. I knew a lot of those people. So we went almost door to door, finding out what their needs were, and let them know what legal services could do to help them. Community workers did that. Every day we was in the community. It wasn't a day passed. And we were bringing back files, cases, all kind of cases that people was hurt, laying up sick. One guy had the toothache, his jaws were swollen up real big. He couldn't get to the dentist. He didn't have no ride, So, that's the way we did. We just went and knocked on the door and told them our name and where we were from. And we'd sit down and talk to them, make conversation with them. Be friendly, just don't go in there and say we're from legal service, We would just sit down and talk with them and see some of the things that they're interested in. I would like to have, some food stamps. I would like to get some assistance, but I can't. And a lot of them wanted, like, voting. They didn't know what that was. None of them didn't know about, they said that Mr. Warrior don't want us to go up there and vote for nobody. He said he'd take our vote in. That's what they were telling the people, that they would take their vote in. And we'd have to try to sit down and explain it to them. And we got the ones that in the community that had cars, we got them to take them up there. We'd help them get up there, but we'd take them up there and, and help them get registered. And I remember, even before I become with legal services, when they had what you call poll tax. And that was keeping people that couldn't read and write from voting. You had to know the preamble to the Constitution before you could register to vote.
Wow. So there was a lot of roadblocks.
It was a lot of roadblocks keeping people from doing things, keeping people from receiving services that they should already be receiving. That's what we was out there for, trying to help people. We'd go door to door. We had lots of people. I see people every day, old and young, that know me, and they'll tell you, that's Miss Gordon. We know her. You knew her just about everybody's day. I even went all out at her. We'd go all up in the woods. Sometimes we'd run in on the hunters and stuff. They was kind of ugly, but they would let us go. They wouldn't do nothing to us. They would just kind of watch us, But we did. We had to explain to them the purpose of legal services and what legal services was here for, to help them.
It was a place where they could get help.
They could get services and get help, and they wouldn't have to pay for it.
Right.
Because a lot of them said they didn't want to go to no lawyers and things because they didn't have the money.
Right. So, was there like a job description, or what were you trained to do in the beginning as a community worker?
Basically, they just told us to kind of survey, the community and kind of find out what kind of services the people need and let them know the services that legal services provide.
Sure.
And that's what we did as a community worker. But
did you have group meetings too?
we had group meetings every week. We would have group meetings. Our individual offices, we would have group meetings.
And community meetings where you explained the law?
Yes, we would meet at different churches. Wayne Johnson was, he was the big help. He was a local minister, and, we would have meetings telling people about legal services and the services that people are provided here, what they would help them to do, and, it was just awesome.
Right. That's wonderful. And this was during the time when Mike Trister was director, and
It was from Mike Twister on up, you know, to to Mr. Coles.
Yeah, okay. So from then to the beginning to the
And,
now.
yep, yep.
Right. Community education has been a big
It's
part of
it's
what we
been a
did.
big part. And wills, people didn't know anything about wills. You know, they would just say, "Well, we don't need no will." They say we could just tell people what we want, write it down on a piece of paper, brown paper, anything. But the people were gonna take it away from them anyway. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that gets into a little bit into the problem of people losing their land or
Right,
property.
exactly.
And so would you say that's one of the stopping the loss of the home place and property
Yes,
is part of what?
yes,
what
because
we're
now
doing?
Medicaid has a law. I think it's changed, but I'm not sure. But that, you know, a lot of people didn't know, and they were coming in. I don't know whether they just took it or not, but the family was not able to take the payments of. They was in nursing homes or whatever, and they would die or something, and had a house. Well, all they know that Medicaid took their home. They didn't know that they had, supposed they had so many months or days or whatever to appeal and pay it back. And, you know, I don't even know whether they told them or not, but people just didn't know,
Right.
you know. And that's one thing that the seniors, you know, was grateful for, you know.
Okay. So is there any other aspect of your work you'd like to talk about? With the program?
I mean, I enjoy working here, you know. Like I said, I like people. I like everybody. I want to help people. I still help people.
You're
Legal
good.
services gave me my start. I wouldn't have had my own business. I wouldn't have known how to do anything like setting up my own business if it wasn't for legal services.